I didn't have enough detail. I hadn't read what was happening. I can't remember what I thought at that time.
An allegation that Ms Berejiklian refused to discharge her duty under the ICAC Act to notify this Commission of possible corrupt conduct.
As the leader of the New South Wales Government, I have expected the highest standards of myself and my colleagues.
The long-running investigation into the business dealings of a once little-known state MP by the New South Wales Independent Commission Against Corruption today turned its attention to the conduct of the former Premier.
This Commission has decided that it was in the public interest for Operation Keppel to be expanded so as to include an investigation into certain allegations concerning the Honourable Gladys Berejiklian.
Over 10 days of public hearings, this new line of inquiry will determine whether Gladys Berejiklian's reputation remains untarnished.
This public inquiry will investigate whether Ms Berejiklian exhibited those high standards of probity that she set for herself and her ministers.
ICAC is investigating whether Gladys Berejiklian breached the public's trust when her government awarded more than $35 million in grant funding to 2 community projects in Wagga Wagga. Gladys Berejiklian has denied any wrongdoing.
Ms Berejiklian, have you ever been in a close personal relationship with Mr Maguire?
Yeah.
Last year, Gladys Berejiklian revealed that she'd been in a secret relationship with the town's then MP, Daryl Maguire, when the projects were funded.
It does raise the possibility that Ms Berejiklian's conduct had the effect of preferring organisations based in Wagga Wagga to other equally or more deserving organisations based elsewhere in this state.
In coming days, the inquiry will hear from witnesses including some of the state's most senior public figures, including former Premier Mike Baird, former Deputy Premier John Barilaro, and the Minister for Jobs, Stuart Ayres.
We expect the evidence to demonstrate that various public officials were influenced in the steps that they took in relation to the building projects to be considered in this public inquiry by what those public officials understood to be Ms Berejiklian's support for or interest in those projects.
Under the ICAC spotlight today is the Wagga-based Australian Clay Target Association and the $5.5 million it received to build a new clubhouse and convention centre. There's no suggestion the club or its members engaged in or had any knowledge of any alleged wrongdoing.
They'd have to feel extremely disappointed that they're being associated with the demise of a Premier. There has been a desire to develop a centre and a clubhouse and a function centre, but one that could be available to the community for use and one that could fill a gap that was here in the community.
Former Federal Nationals MP Kay Hull is a patron of the Australian Clay Target Association. She believes the club deserved the funding it received.
What the Clay Target Association have done has been done in good faith to ensure that their sport continues to thrive and prosper. Not only their sport, but the facility that they have in the city continues to grow and bring benefit to that city.
It was quite deficient on what I thought were material matters.
Today, a senior bureaucrat at the New South Wales Office of Sport, Michael Toohey, told ICAC he had serious doubts about the project when a business case landed on his desk in November 2016.
It wasn't of sufficient quality or rigour to support a grant of the many millions of dollars that was being proposed. Is that right?
That was my view, yes. The risk with that I saw it, in my professional opinion, the risk that I saw that meant was that the government could put all this money into something, but we had no idea whether or not it would be delivered.
Michael Toohey told ICAC he was asked to prepare an urgent funding submission for Cabinet. In an email, he told a colleague he thought it was unlikely the funds would be allocated to the project based on the business case he received. He told ICAC it was highly unusual to be asked to prepare such a submission in less than a day.
I didn't understand the urgency. It was that if the Minister's office had requested it, then I would do my best endeavours to make that.
In your experience, is it a fairly usual or unusual thing to be asked to prepare a draft ERC submission within a day?
Extremely unusual. There was no evidence provided that this was a feasible project.
This senior bureaucrat told ICAC that Gladys Berejiklian requested the clay target grant be placed on the agenda of Cabinet's Expenditure Review Committee. As Treasurer at the time, Gladys Berejiklian would ordinarily chair these meetings. Throughout this entire process, Gladys Berejiklian never disclosed her relationship with Daryl Maguire.
Being aware of the existence of that relationship at the time that you were involved in the steps that you and I have discussed today, would have you done anything differently? Would have it affected anything that you did?
Absolutely. I would have expressed my concerns initially through the executive structure and into the Minister's office to say that I thought this was problematic. Why were we pushing a grant, an allocation of funds through to a local member based on such scant and inadequate information that didn't meet the New South Wales Government's own standards and policies to someone who was a personal relationship with the Treasurer? I can't see how that's anything but a conflict of interest.
I state categorically I've always acted with the highest level of integrity for the benefit of the people of New South Wales.
The ICAC hearings will continue into next week, when Gladys Berejiklian is expected to give evidence.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.